Hello there, today I bring you a review of Fates and Furies by Groff. First, let's take a moment to appreciate this as a physical item. Now, I'm easily amused, and the fact that this has like a plastic coating over the sleeve really satisfies me. I love the feel of it, the shiny look of it, it floats my boat completely. Anyway, I have mixed feelings about this. I've written a blog post, which I will link down below, which probably says so in a more concise way, but I shouldn't really have read this. I picked it up last week and I read it straight away, and I never do that. I never read books as soon as I get them because I've got so many more to read. But there was something about the idea of this book that really drew me to it. And there's a part of me that really loved this book, but there's also a part of me that thinks that this book is not as good as it thinks it is. For me, and I actually thought this was a debut novel when I went into it. Groff has actually written other books. She's got a short story collection and a novel. So she's sort of developing in her career now, and I feel like this would be forgivable if it was a debut novel, but it's not, and there were issues, I'm not gonna lie. That said, I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it for those who like more literary fiction and stories with quite a dark and depressing twist on them. It was definitely that. I think the main issue for me was maybe that going into it, I was told that basically this follows Mathilde and Lotto and their marriage from when they are 22 years old onwards. It follows them through, I think, 24 or 25 years of marriage, and it is split into 2 halves. So there's Fates and there's Furies. Fates is, well, I was told Fates is told from the perspective of Lotto and Furies is told from the perspective of Mathilde. I would say the point of view in the first 100 pages of Lotto's section is very, very sketchy. It might be something that most people wouldn't even notice, but because in my writing I've had issues in the beginning with point of view, it was very noticeable to me that literally the point of view was flicking to whichever character was entering a scene, and it was very disjointed. It was forgivable. It wasn't an issue enough that I wanted to stop reading. I still enjoyed reading that bit, but I was very glad when I got through that first 100 pages, and the format almost changes a bit. Lotto becomes a playwright, and so a lot of his section is done through his plays. I enjoyed that a lot more, and I felt like I definitely got to know his character a lot more. Mathilde's section started out, and I thought, possible spoiler, if you don't want to hear this, mute. It's not a massive spoiler because I was a bit wrong. I thought it was going to get a bit Gone Girl, and I was a bit but it didn't go to the extremes that Gone Girl did at all. And it's basically just ultimately about the things we don't tell our partners and the way that you can never truly know another person. It's also very interesting that none of the characters in this book are likeable. They're all flawed. They're all extremely flawed. And they're not necessarily redeemed within this even, but there's something, we can forgive them for their flaws. There's something about them that makes us forgive them, and I think ultimately this is actually a very romantic book. I went into it thinking it was going to be about a broken marriage, or a marriage where one person thought it was perfect and another person didn't. It's not. It's about secrets and lies, but ultimately it's very romantic because their love for each other is ultimately what redeems them, I suppose, and the sort of view that they have of each other is what makes them good people. Ultimately, you know, they are good people because, say, Mathilde's a better person because Lotto thinks she is this pure, perfect thing, and the same can be said for him. And ultimately, it's really romantic and really lovely. As I say, there was issues for me. I wouldn't say this is for everybody, and there's certainly some technicality issues in the first 100 pages, but ultimately it was a really romantic, really lovely book. I think it would be an interesting one to reread because there are twists and turns in this. I think it would be very interesting to go back and see things again through the innocent eyes of Lotto and think, oh yeah. And I think I would probably enjoy it more on a reread. It's definitely a book that's going to stay in my heart, and I did adore it. However, as I say, it's not a perfect book, and I don't think it is as good as it thinks it is. But that said, worth a read. If you like literary reads, and as I say, fiction with a depressing twist, this is probably for you. Just be patient with it and acknowledge the fact that it's not perfect, but it's not too bad. Bye.